torches and dead bodies are here. أو في سبين بطلعكم ضوء حلو واحد هلا إن شاء الله يقدروا يطلعوا ابنك برا ويطلعوا كل اللي بيحتاج يتعالج يجيبوا دكاترة هون يوقفوا الحرب يخلوا الناس ترجع يبنوا البلد. بس عندك ماكنتوش نحط تحته ولا ما في؟ ما في ماكنتوش ما في ما هو هذا اللي بصير.
مفروض بس خلص احنا نحط هيك بنمسح مسحه ونسكر.
يوسف أبو عيشة لازم أنا بحكي للحكومة يتصلوا مع العظام الموجود اليوم we will only we don't they will be saved and we don't even have the ointment and the creams to use for his facial burns, so we're just cleaning it with some ringer lactate. We don't have normal saline and the last pack of gauze that is left. يعني أجدع واحد شفته صراحة. مش صح انتوا كيف رايك؟ الم اللي بتحمله والقوه اللي هو اللي عادي ما عادي لو موجوع. بتحمل بس مش لحاله هذا الطفل هذا كان مع اخوه.
هذا عن مستشفى القدس هو عباب خيمته.
This is Dr. Nada Abu Rub. I'm an Australian doctor that came through PANSMA, the Palestinian Australian New Zealand Medical Association, in collaboration with WHO and EMT. I tried to come into Gaza multiple times. First, I tried through like other organizations as well, and unfortunately, the whole organizations got blocked for no reason or cancelled. But thankfully, I finally got PANSMA's support and I've arrived to Gazze. First, we've arrived to el-Balah'a in south or middle. We worked a little bit in Aksa. There we saw, I thought that the situation couldn't get worse because the things I've seen there, I've never seen in my life before, from the airstrikes and the amount of injuries. And mainly there I've seen a lot of cardiac arrest in kids because of starvation, malnutrition, diarrhea on top of the starvation. People were evacuating there and living in the hospital on the floor, on the hallways. There's no space for anything. There's no money and no clean water. Basically, it's like sewage water that is dirty, that you can smell it and people are getting sick. So the situation was disastrous. We were not allowed to bring in any help. So no matter how long we're staying for, we were only allowed $280 per doctor, no matter how long we stay. And out of this money, you also have to pay the transport and everything once you enter the bridge. So you're hardly left with any money to survive. And we're staying for at least 1 month. You're only allowed 1 medium bag and 1 carry-on. And you need to put in it your own food because there's no food here. Baby formula was forbidden. If you actually bring baby formula, you'll put the whole organizations at risk to be cancelled, and no doctors are allowed in the future. So the situation, it was very hard. Medical equipments, very limited things are allowed, and how much you can carry in those bags, including your, as I said, your stuff to survive, because there's nothing here. Now, when we came north, it was another picture. It's a nightmare. My brain still cannot realize what's happening. It's a horror movie. It's a terror movie. Even reaching here was a nightmare. It was so sad. It was catastrophic. The road, Gaza Strip is only around 40 by 10 kilometers. So it took us, it should take us 20 minutes to reach from the middle to here, but it took us 8 hours. First time we spent 6 hours on the road, and then they canceled our mission last minute and we returned south, but we still insisted to come north. And then we came again the next day on 5 a.m. and we hardly made it by 2 p.m. People are so scared. They're just evacuating, escaping with their babies and kids and whatever they can carry from home on the road. So everyone is evacuating north, and we didn't get the picture. The minute you arrive north, you'll see a destroyed piece of land. So it's all rubble, dust, scary scenes. Dead bodies under the rubble, dogs just kind of hanging over there. They're starving, they're eating the dead bodies. the scenes you watch are just horrific. No one can kind of tolerate this. The bombing is still going. We were about to be, we were so close to a lot of bombing too many times. It doesn't stop. Your eardrums get exploded. We're being bombed day and night by all sorts of weapons. Then we arrived to the hospital, a mass casualty after a mass casualty. The whole hospital destroyed. There are almost 1,500 bodies still under the rubble in the hospital, in Al-Shifa. The hospital is hardly coping, but people here are resilient. They're beautiful people. They're trying to do anything to live and make anything out of nothing to survive. So we're making any room work to save as many people as possible. But it's complete blockade, right? So nothing is allowed in, and we're near zero stock of equipment to the minimal. There's no gauze, gloves, scissors, beds, mattresses, surgical equipment, even soap to wash. So in every aspect you look around you, you know that the situation is unlivable. Bombing is going, even in front of the hospital, and most of 60-70% or more are usually kids and women. And then it's just like the things that I've seen, like we were working with the doctors. The doctors here are heroes, to be honest. They've been working constantly, non-stop, living in the hospital because they also lost their houses and everything for more than 2 years. They rest for 2 hours and continue the shift. I was with the doctor that I worked with since I came, and then next thing we see, his family members are all here. Some of them are still under the rubble. They strike all his house and his brother's house, and he's just treating his kids and his nephews, and they come in not like an imaginable way. So the wounds here, each patient come with crushed wounds, missing limb, hanging leg, brain matter out, bowels out, and that's in one person. So imagine multiply that by tens and hundreds in each mass casualty, and the bombing doesn't stop. So no wonder people are evacuating. But even the sadder thing, they're going south when there is nothing, and they don't have money to even move, and they don't have anything to move, and they don't know how to move. There's not even fuel to move your stuff. So they're burning the plastic, putting it in whatever car they can find that is still working to try to get their stuff. They're trying to make anything out of nothing to live. But the amount of injuries, and as a doctor, you hate to leave patients to die. But here in Gaza, the situation is different. You have to, unfortunately, and sadly, prioritize the cases to the ones that you think they might have a better chance to survive. And you start with them. And then all you do is just putting a tourniquet on a limb to stop bleeding, which will end up amputated anyway. You kind of put a chest tube, you open a tummy with a quick laparotomy. The other day, you just kind of, it was just the scenes. I had a 3-year-old, her dad is holding her carotid artery she was shot on the neck, and her carotid artery was exploded. And he's like, can you see, how was my kid? Is there any chance? The scenes you see you haven't seen in a horror movie. A beheaded 9 months pregnant lady that we thankfully managed to save the baby, that we did a post-mortem cesarean section in emergency department. So the nursing staff, the medical students here, the skills that they have are amazing. They're like the amount of surgeries they've done, what they do to help their people, despite them losing their own family members, their houses. But the situation is just, you can't believe that this is happening in our day and age. Just twist the picture and put it in anywhere else in the world. It's just not acceptable. Why is it acceptable to these poor people? And to be honest, they're beautiful. I've dealt with them. I live with them now and I work with them. They're such beautiful people, and they're still grateful and have hope. So you just don't know how on earth is this possible to anyone on earth. We're all equal. One day you should know that all people everywhere should have the same rights. No one is better than anyone, and everyone should have the same right, and everyone should stand up for justice. That's all what we're asking for. But they honestly had enough. So this needs to stop. Aid needs to come in. Some sort of life needs to come in, because people here are just waiting on turns just to die. We know that we might die here at any time. We've been very close to bombs and being attacked and bombed by quadcopters, Apaches, F-35, F-16, all sorts. The robotic injuries are something you never can imagine. So that, you know, no, we can't picture those things because they're not allowed to be posted in anything. But so you can't understand the amount of struggle people going through from every direction: food, water, injuries, losing. They have nothing left. So it's totally unlivable. Everyone is dying by different source of killing or disability. So the situation is unverbal. I don't have a word to describe it. So honestly, I only became expert with the type of weapons here. I did not work with such weapons and injuries with those kind of type of injuries before. But the type of bullets, for example, there's some type of bullets that are illegal, that they actually, after they enter the body, you still have fragments of it exploding in months and years after they go inside the vessels, and they keep on exploding. So these, you know, there are definitely sorts of illegal weapons happening for sure. But the injuries, like when you strike a whole building on a whole family with kids and people and humans, like even men are humans. Like I can't just kind of worry just about, you know, all of people I worry about. And their whole family and their extended family that they live with all together are crushed into pieces. As I said, the bones is just like powder. You kind of find a leg hanging by a tendon. You know, and in one person you see multiple crushed and laceration, open injuries, shrapnels everywhere. Yeah, it's horrific. I don't think there is a horror movie that was made to the extent of what people are living here, and they've been living this for 2 years. Even the hospital were under the siege before, where the doctors were not able to do anything, and they were just under siege inside the hospital. I don't know. I just cannot. I'm sorry, but I still struggle to understand what's happening. Yes, I work with whatever I can. I'm doing whatever I can to help, but I don't think it's something that the brain can accept. I thought that I was prepared. I thought that, you know, I know the situation is really bad, but not to this extent. Like what we see on TV and we think it's too much and people are tired of watching. It's actually, I think it's hardly 1% of what's actually happening on ground. But I don't, you know, I'm saying this, but I love those people and I don't want to leave. Like, I think the day that comes that the day that we need to leave and go back will be even harder than the day that I arrived, because I don't know how will I have a heart to leave those innocent and lovely people behind and then go and have a normal life. So I think that's even more difficult for me to accept and think about. I don't want to think about my leaving day. I think the humanity at what we call at our civilized state should be better. I think we're, as humans, are civilized by the amount of the humanity that we have in. I think we need to be a little bit selfless and think about each other, because all the planet is connected. We're all connected. What happened one day here, it can happen easily elsewhere on another day. We need to stand with each other. It's easy. We can stop this from happening. We can have a better life, and we keep the hope happening. And anyone who can come and help in any shape or form, please come and do. Anything can make a difference. So please do. And we have a hope that one day things will get better. Peace will spread. The world will be a better place. We'll all live together in harmony. We'll all have equal rights with different backgrounds, different colors, different religion. We just enjoy that variety, and hopefully this will be sooner, because otherwise I don't know how we'll be forgiven for all these, what happened to these people. It will be too late.
You can see as well, we find people living in the hospital everywhere. They're just trying to find somewhere safe that they won't be bombed, and they kind of feel that the hospital at least might, but not necessarily have an evacuation order. So they try basically to stay somewhere safe. In the operating theatre, where I think more than 60 operating room in this hospital, if I'm not mistaken. But now we only have 3 they're always full. As you can see, that's the main part of the hospital and how it got bombed. And this is one of the last functioning hospitals in Gazze. There are many hospitals that are completely destroyed on the ground. As you can see, the situation is here. Every day we have bombardments.